What does it look like when something is designed without rules, without restrictions, without limits? One goal, one singular vision to break the template of what is possible, to redefine what it means to be fast, to push the limits of performance until just before they break, with whatever means necessary, whatever the cost. In 1992, one man was brave enough to ask this question and gave everything he had to find the answer. A difficult pursuit that led him to create something that transcended sports cars, that bounded past what it even meant to be a supercar, a monolithic achievement forged from carbon fiber, titanium, and gold, a singular pursuit of speed, of performance, that changed the very definition of fast forever. From the mind of a South African madman came a machine capable of knocking down the giants. Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini, all came to know the answer to the question, what if a car was created without rules? Without limits, that car would be the world's first hypercar, the McLaren F1. Close your eyes and imagine a fast car. No, you idiot. A properly fast car. That's better? Yes. When you think of real, proper, fast cars, they're typically the screaming metal death traps made by overzealous Italian men. Difficult cars, unreliable cars, but fast cars. But by 1990, the world of supercars had largely been resting on its laurels. They were using antiquated technology. The Countach's V12 was nearly identical to the engine Lambo developed in the late 60s. The Ferrari F40 was a tube-framed chassis. It was basically a race car, wasn't exactly high-tech, and owning them was terrible. They didn't drive very well, and it cost a fortune and required a team of people to keep them running. But that was what was working. That was what people wanted from the world's most expensive cars. They wanted owning them to hurt, apparently. And thanks to that, the Italians were set in their ways, afraid to break the rules, fearful that the next step forward in technology might step them off of a cliff. And then Honda came along and, well, broke all of those rules. You see, Honda didn't know that a supercar had to be unreliable just to be fast. They didn't know that they needed to be undrivable just to look cool. They just knew that when you stick an engine in the back of a little car, it was a lot of fun. And since they were Honda, they just weren't capable of building an unreliable cable car. The Honda NSX was essentially an accident, but it had impact. And like any impact, it produced waves and ripples, distortions that carried quietly through the fabric of sports cars long after it was released. It brought in Senna, the brilliant Formula One driver, who at the time was the secret weapon of McLaren, a bespoke racing company who employed some of the most brilliant car designers in the world and used Honda engines to power those cars that they built. Now, it's pretty safe to assume Senna probably brought his personal NSX to the office once or twice, because one of those designers at McLaren, a magnificent bastard by the name of Gordon Murray, happened to fall in love with that speedy little Honda wedge. Up until then, he had assumed that the Porsche 911 was the perfect sports car, but now he had tasted an even sweeter fruit. The Honda NSX. Murray knew that there was unrealized potential in the world of fast cars, and he intended to prove it. It's 1988, and at an airport in Milan, Italy, the scene is a sensory overload. The air is thick with cigarette smoke, the hum of idle engines, the chatter of travelers moving quickly through the terminal. Negronis fill tumbler glasses at the bar, where businessmen, racers, and engineers alike unwind after a grueling Grand Prix. The atmosphere is tense, yet relaxed, as these men, unaware of the world-changing decision they're about to make, sit around a table, plotting the future of supercars. They are not the typical bunch one would expect to discuss revolutionizing the car industry. Four men, their lives intertwined with the world of speed, design, and motorsport, are about to set a course that will forever alter the realm of high-performance vehicles. This meeting, though unassuming in its setting, would mark the beginning of something monumental. In one corner of the room sits Creighton Brown, McLaren Racing's director. A man of many talents, he's worn a multitude of hats throughout his life. Pig farmer, jazz musician, and perhaps most notably, British team world champion driver. His varied experience in motorsport gives him a unique perspective on the car industry and an understanding of the stakes they're about to set in motion. Next to him is Ron Dennis, McLaren's team manager, a mechanic by trade, and a man whose hands have been deep in the workings of the fastest cars in the world since his teenage years. While most people at 18 are thinking about their college major, Ron was turning wrenches on machines designed for nothing but speed. His deep cynicism, shaped by years of being the one to fix all the mistakes, made him a voice of reason. Yet even he couldn't deny the magnetic pull of the dream these men were chasing. Across from them sits Mansour Odje, a French Saudi Arabian with a family fortune vast enough to give him the kind of influence that money can buy. He's the financial backbone of McLaren, the one who makes things happen when the dream needs funding. His wealth might be a product of birth, but it's his vision for the future that drives him to help bring this project into reality. His business acumen is exactly what the team needs. And then there's Gordon Murray, the man whose mind is a labyrinth of ideas and engineering genius. He sits at the head of the table, a quiet storm of brilliance and obsession. Gordon is the designer, the visionary, the one who will ultimately shape what will become one of the greatest supercars ever to be built. A South African by birth, Gordon's childhood was steeped in racing, and his obsession with speed was instilled early. But it was here, at this moment, with McLaren's top brass, that his ideas would truly come to life. The room is filled with tension, but also excitement. A mix of ambition and risk, fueled by the knowledge that they are on the brink of creating something unlike anything the automotive world has ever seen. As the smoke curls up from their cigarettes and the discussions grow heated, the group begins to form a plan. But this isn't just any plan. It's a blueprint for a car that will break all the rules. At the time, McLaren wasn't making normal cars. They weren't interested in building anything for the road. McLaren was a racing team, renowned for its precision, skill, and innovation on the racetrack. They built cars to dominate Formula One, and they did it with unparalleled success. But in the world of consumer vehicles, they were absent. Ferrari, Porsche, and Lamborghini ruled the roost, each offering their take on what a supercar should be: fast, aggressive, beautiful, but flawed. Ron Dennis, ever the realist, didn't want to pour money into a project that could fall flat. He saw the potential for failure, the risks involved in branching out from racing into the realm of street cars. But even his cynicism couldn't resist the allure of the dream. He could feel the excitement mounting as the plan took shape. Mansour Odje was already envisioning the possibilities. How McLaren could break free from the confines of motorsport and craft something that would not just rival, but outperform the existing supercars on the market. A car that could be as fast as anything on the racetrack, yet practical enough for the everyday driver. He was sold. He would fund it. As the conversation unfolded, Gordon Murray's mind raced. He knew what needed to be done. He had ideas that were years ahead of his time. He could see a future where technology, performance, and design came together to create something more than just a car. It would be a statement, a revolution. But there was one thing he had to make clear before they could proceed. It wouldn't be easy. Building the ultimate car was not a task for the faint of heart. It would require breaking every rule in the book, tearing apart the conventions of what a supercar should be. As the night wore on, the men continued to talk, bouncing ideas off each other, refining their vision, honing their concept. It became clear that this wouldn't be just another road car. This would be something more, something that didn't conform to existing standards. They weren't interested in creating a car that would simply go fast. They wanted to build a car that would change the game entirely. A car that would prove that when you take away the limitations, you can achieve the impossible. And so, after hours of heated discussion, in the dim light of an Italian airport bar, the decision was made. McLaren would create a road car, but not just any road car. They would create the ultimate road car, a car without rules, without limits, that would shatter every expectation. It would be the first of its kind. It would be the McLaren F1. That night, the McLaren 4 set in motion a plan that would lead them down a path of unparalleled engineering achievement. They had a dream, and nothing, not tradition, not skepticism, not the status quo, was going to stop them from bringing it to life. Ian Gordon Murray was the son of a motorcycle racer from Scotland. Born in 1946 in Durban, South Africa, a city that blended the sharp beauty of Art Deco architecture with the natural chaos of poisonous reptiles, Gordon's early life was steeped in the culture of speed. His father, a man of mechanical ingenuity, worked for Peugeot, but his true passion was building race cars under the moonlight, away from the public eye. The Murray family didn't have the means to buy a fast car, so they created their own. From an early age, Gordon watched his father's creations tear down dirt roads, race through tight city streets, and endure the harshest of tests. These cars were his father's pride, but they also sparked something deep within young Gordon. While other kids were playing with toys, Gordon was learning about the intricate art of building race cars, understanding the delicate dance of gears, engines, and aerodynamics. His mind was already shaping itself into a place where speed and design were more than just interests. They were a calling. Gordon's father didn't just encourage his son to watch the cars. He made sure that Gordon studied engineering and understood the mechanics behind the machines. Gordon begrudgingly followed his father's advice, but his mind often wandered. Sure, he appreciated the beauty of engineering, but what he really wanted was to race. He wanted to see how fast those machines could really go. By the time Gordon was 21, he was ready to take his first big step. With little money and fewer resources, he decided to build a race car of his own. It wasn't the kind of luxury project you'd expect from an engineering prodigy. Gordon didn't have a fancy garage or a team of mechanics. Instead, he built his first race car in the most unconventional place, his bedroom. He found a wrecked Ford Anglia, a car that would serve as the foundation for his ambitious project, and started building. The engine was assembled on his bedroom floor. The chassis was welded together in his family's backyard, on top of his mother's carefully cultivated flower garden. The body panels? Well, Gordon used his mother's fertilizer-caked shovel to shape them. It was a far cry from the polished, high-tech cars that were making headlines at the time. But Gordon didn't care about convention. His drive wasn't born from the idea of building something conventional. It was born from a pure, unrelenting passion for speed and performance. He called his creation the AGM Ford, or T1. It looked like a Lotus 7 kit car on the outside, but underneath, it was all Gordon Murray. The car was lighter, stiffer, and more refined than any of the cars it was inspired by. It was built on the foundation of ingenuity, guts, and raw talent, just like its creator. After a few wins with the AGM Ford, Gordon knew he needed to push himself further. While racing had been a thrilling adventure, he wasn't content with just competing. He wanted to be in the heart of it all, the heart of motorsport. And so Gordon set his sights on England, the mecca of both motorsport engineering and rock and roll. The UK was home to some of the finest minds in automotive design, and Gordon knew that to truly make a mark on the world of cars, this was where he needed to be. He sold his beloved T1 to fund his move to England, but his goal was clear: to work alongside the best and make a name for himself in the world of racing. Gordon's first stop was at Brabham, a Formula One team led by none other than Bernie Ecclestone. It was there that Gordon's career truly began to take flight. He became Brabham's lead designer, and in a short time, he proved that he was a force to be reckoned with. His genius as an engineer shone through when he designed the BT-46B, the infamous fan car that utilized a giant fan at the rear to create insane downforce. The car was so revolutionary and so ahead of its time that it only raced once before being banned. But its legacy remained. At Brabham, Gordon won 22 races and helped the team secure second place in the Constructors' Championship. His ability to push the boundaries of car design, to think beyond the limits of what was considered possible, made him one of the most respected minds in motorsport engineering. But for all of Gordon's success at Brabham, he wasn't content to simply rest on his laurels. He wanted more. He was determined to change the world of cars, not just for the racetrack, but for the streets. And so, in 1987, Gordon made the decision to leave Brabham behind and join McLaren, a team that was already making waves in the world of Formula One. Ron Dennis, the team manager at McLaren, was skeptical at first. McLaren was known for making race cars, and they had no interest in entering the world of road cars. But Gordon saw something that Ron didn't, an opportunity to build something truly unique, something that would forever change the world of cars. Gordon didn't just want to build another sports car. He wanted to create the ultimate road car, one that would combine the best of engineering, performance, and design. In 1991, Gordon was named the lead of the McLaren Cars project, tasked with building a road car that would push the boundaries of what was possible. It would be a car built without compromise, with no rules to constrain it. And in his quest to build the greatest road car the world had ever seen, Gordon Murray drew up a manifesto, one that would become the blueprint for the McLaren F1. This manifesto wasn't just about numbers, speeds, and specs. It was a vision of a car that was lightweight, fast, and perfectly balanced. A car that would feel just as at home on the racetrack as it did on the open road. A car that would be the embodiment of Gordon's unrelenting drive for perfection. But Gordon's journey was far from over. He still had to overcome countless challenges. He needed the perfect team, the right materials, and the right partners. It wasn't enough just to dream about the car, he had to make it a reality. And in the process, he would become not just an engineer, but the messiah of a revolution in the world of supercars. Gordon's quest to create the ultimate road car would lead him down a path that no one had ever dared to walk before. And while he was obsessively perfecting every detail, from the way the handbrake felt to the precise weight of the car, Gordon knew that the end result would not only be the car of his dreams, it would be a machine that would leave an indelible mark on the world. The McLaren F1 would change everything, and Gordon Murray, the man who had envisioned it all, would be forever remembered as the visionary behind it. Having sold the IGM Ford for a plane ticket, Murray took his first few steps into the halls of automotive mythology. He got to work designing championship-winning Grand Prix cars. Lotus was who he wanted to work for, but he got Brabham instead. There he was, named lead designer by Bernie Ecclestone. Yeah, that Bernie, the F1 Bernie. At Brabham, Murray would design one of the most unique and controversial F1 cars of all time. The BT46B, or, as you probably know it, the fan car. Its giant fan at the rear sucked air from the bottom of the car, creating insane downforce. The BT46B was a revolution, so upsetting that it was only raced once before Bernie decided that it may be a bit too much and might shake F1 to its breaking point. Gordon went on to pen more F1 cars for Brabham, racking up 22 wins and taking second in the Constructors' Championship. His time at Brabham gave Murray a singular focus, and that was to out-engineer everyone and win. In 1987, Gordon packed his low-slung F1 car designs into his coat jacket and left Brabham behind him. He landed at McLaren shortly after on a 3-year contract under Ron Dennis. He helped then-lead designer Steve Nichols create winning designs for cars that helped McLaren set records and even earned Senna his first championship. And thanks to all of this, in 1991, he's named the lead of the new McLaren Cars project, where his newly drafted manifesto would be etched into the minds of everyone who took part. These were the words that everyone on the F1 project had to live by. It must not weigh more than 1,000 kilograms. It will have a maximum width of 1.8 meters, and the front and rear overhangs must be absolutely minimized. The majority of the car's mass must be between the wheels, and most importantly, it must not have any of the issues normally associated with mid-engined cars. It must survive on roads, be stable at high speeds, drivable at low speeds, and comfortable in short, sketched on wrinkled paper while talking shop. Murray had but one simple request: just build the greatest road car ever. A car that could be lived with like the NSX. A car that was beautiful like the Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale. And oh yeah, faster than the Porsche 959. It would be built with Formula One technology because, after all, that is what Gordon knew best now. Notably absent from the manifesto was anything about top speeds or lap times or 0 to 60 times. That's right, for a car that dominated those performance figures for years, they were never a part of the plan. Murray didn't care about any of that stuff. And in fact, he kind of hated cars that had a singular focus on speed. Murray specifically set out to make sure this was not a race car. It was a road car. It was the ultimate road car. In Gordon's mind, race cars had far too many rules. McLaren's debut would have no rules. They had no inertia to overcome. They needed to fit in no mold. They were limited only by their imagination. Racing was regulated, and road cars were the Wild West.